Hi guys, and welcome back to the Aspiring Home Cook. I hope you've all had a fantastic start to the new year. My name is Trisha, and in today's video I'm going to share with you a really special recipe. This is one of the first curries I ever learned how to make. Today I'm sharing with you how I make my Matar Paneer. Before we move on to the recipe, if you're new here and haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel, and once you do, click on that little bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Today I'm going to start off by making a base for my curry. Here I've got about 2 medium onions that I've roughly chopped up, and I'm popping them into the jar of my blender, followed by a couple of red chilies. These are fairly spicy, so you can drop that down to 1 chili if you'd like. I've got about half an inch of ginger and about 5 cloves of garlic. And without using any water, I'm just going to blitz everything together till it forms a nice paste. And you should end up with something that looks like this. Now keep in mind that if you're using green chilies, the color of your paste will be slightly on the greener side. I'm going to set this paste aside to use later once we start cooking the curry. Our next stage is to prep the paneer pieces. Here I've got about a 250 gram block of paneer that I've cut up into little cubes. I'm going to heat a little oil in a pan on some medium heat. Swirl that around so that the oil coats the bottom of the pan. And on a medium heat itself, I'm carefully going to add those pieces of paneer to the pan and fry them off till they get a nice golden brown color on them. Now once you get a nice color on one side, you're going to flip this over to the opposite side. I like to fry off at least 2 sides of this cube to get a nice color. Now what you've got to keep in mind is that the paneer will flip very easily once it has formed that light crust of sorts on the bottom. If you try to move the pieces any sooner than that, there is a chance that they could stick a little to your pan. So just give it a little time and let them brown off a little, like you can see here. This happens really quickly, so as soon as I'm happy with the color, I'm just going to drain off any excess oil and take these paneer pieces out of the pan and set them aside on a plate to use later. Now in the same pan, I'm just going to add a touch more oil because I'm now going to fry off my potato cubes till they're almost cooked through. Now once you're happy with the color and they're almost cooked all the way, I'm just going to drain off any excess oil and take these potato pieces aside on a plate. I'm going to make my curry in the same pan, so I'm going to make sure there's about a tablespoon's worth of oil in there. Add a little more if you need to, and dip in that onion paste that we had prepped earlier. Now you're going to stir this every once in a while and saute this till the onion paste changes color a little. That takes about a couple of minutes, and that gives the ginger and garlic an opportunity to cook off as well. Now while that's happening, I'm going to prep my tomato puree. In that same blender jar, I'm going to add in about 2 medium-sized tomatoes that I've roughly cubed. Now if you're using canned tomatoes or passata or a tomato puree, you can omit this step. Make sure that you keep an eye on the onion, and while that's frying off, just grind that tomato into a nice fine paste. In a couple of minutes, like you can see here, a lot of that liquid has evaporated and the onion paste has changed color a little. This is how I know that I'm now ready to add my spices. In here, I'm going to add in about 1/3 of a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder, and about 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala powder. Now you're going to give all of these spices a good stir to make sure that they mix well with that onion paste, and you're going to let this fry off gently for about 30 seconds or so. The ground spices don't take a very long time to cook off. After everything has mixed through really well and had a little time to fry off, I'm going to add in that tomato puree. Stir that through to mix it up well, and you're going to let this masala cook off for a couple of minutes. What I am going to do is add a touch more water to that blender jar, swirl it around to extract any of that leftover tomato puree, and add that to the pan. You're going to add water as needed to bring your curry to the consistency that you require. Remember, there's still a fair amount of cooking to go, so your curry will thicken a little bit. Bring that mix to a boil, and once it starts bubbling away, turn the heat down to a low, pop the lid on, and let this simmer away for about 5 to 7 minutes. Now, if you're serving this with some jeera rice like I have, this is a great time to get your rice going. I've washed and soaked my rice for about half an hour. I've heated about a tablespoon of ghee over here in a little vessel, and I'm going to tip in about half a teaspoon of cumin seeds. Now, prepping both your curry and your rice at the same time like this makes sure that they both get ready at about the same time and you can have a nice hot meal ready to go. I'm going to let these cumin seeds or the jeera sizzle away a little. Just keep a close watch because they tend to burn easily and you don't want that happening. You can increase or decrease the amount of cumin seeds used based on what you like. Once they've sizzled away a little, you're now ready to add the rice. So I've drained the rice that was soaking. I'm using 2/3 of a cup of basmati rice. This will do really well to serve 2 adults as a main course. Very gently stir that rice through. You don't want to crush or break those grains of rice because they're quite delicate here. And once your rice has had the opportunity to fry off a little, you're going to add in the water. This is double the quantity of the rice. So I'm using 1 1/3 of a cup of water at room temperature. Stir everything through. Season it with a little salt to taste. A good way to check for seasoning is to taste a little bit of that stock that's in this pot right now. And if it tastes salty enough, you know you're good to go. You can add more salt if needed. Now, as soon as the water starts coming to a boil, lower the heat down to a simmer, pop a lid on and let this rice cook off until it has absorbed all of that liquid. In the meanwhile, we're going to check back on our Matar Paneer. Everything seems to be cooking along nicely. I'm just going to give it all one quick stir. At this stage, if you feel that it's too thick, you can add a touch more water. I'm going to now add in my green peas, stir that through, and I'm going to add a touch more salt at this stage because I feel like my curry could use it, as well as the potatoes and the paneer haven't been seasoned yet either. At this point, I'm going to add in those fried potatoes. Remember, these potatoes are cooked through about 80% of the way. We're just going to let the peas and the potatoes warm through in that gravy and cook off the rest of the way. So I'm just going to quickly pop the lid on and let this cook through for about another minute or so. In the meanwhile, I'm going to give you a little peep at the rice. All of that liquid has been absorbed, like you can see here. And this is the perfect time to turn the heat off, take it off the heat and set this aside to rest for about another 3 to 4 minutes. This ensures that those rice grains turn out nice and fluffy and perfect. Our vegetables should have cooked through by now, so we're going to carefully check on them. Stir everything through. Like you can see, that curry has thickened a little bit, but this curry is best enjoyed slightly on the thicker side. I'm just checking to see if the potatoes are cooked and they're nice and tender, so I know that my curry is almost ready at this stage. I'm now going to tip in my fried paneer pieces and stir that through gently. We're going to let this curry cook off just for about another minute or so, or until that paneer has had the chance to warm through. You don't want to overcook that paneer because that could result in a very chewy and rubbery consistency, which is not pleasant at all. So once everything has heated through really well, I'm going to add in the rest of my garam masala, which is about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Adding the garam masala at the end absolutely enhances the flavor of the curry, so I urge you to try it out this way. Stir everything through to make sure that those spices blend well with the gravy. Check for seasoning and adjust it one last time. I'm going to add a pinch more of salt because my curry can use it. I'm going to add just about half a teaspoon of sugar here to balance out the tartness of the tomatoes. This doesn't sweeten the curry but ensures a nice balance of spices. Stir everything through to mix that well, and your curry is now ready. I'm going to add about half of that chopped coriander into the curry at this stage so that it lends a little bit of flavor to the gravy itself, and I'm going to use the rest of it to garnish at the time of serving. Turn the heat off and you're now ready to take your pan off the heat. Our rice is also now perfectly ready to serve. So before we can proceed with that, I'm going to use a fork and lightly fluff up those grains of rice and stir those cumin seeds through as well so that they're well distributed. Remember to be very gentle while doing this because you don't want to break those grains of rice. Serve up that rice nice and piping hot along with some of that beautiful Matar Paneer and serve that up with a salad of your choice. Today for me that's just some slices of cucumber. Finish that off with a light sprinkling of some more fresh chopped coriander and you're ready to sit down to a beautiful, hot, delicious meal. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's recipe. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with family and friends. I've had a lot of requests for more vegetarian recipes on the channel, so I'm glad to be able to share this with you today. As always, the link to the complete recipe will be down in the description box just below this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.